What's up, guys? It's your boy Cam. I am here with the third week of NXT TakeOver Inferno. We are inching our way to NXT TakeOver Supremacy. Good card on paper, and I just can't wait to get into this match. Into this show. So let's get into it. In the pre-show bout, just using the pre-show for people that aren't on the card, and just to give wrestlers some momentum. In the pre-show bout that didn't have much heat and turbo wrestling, the Fixer Arya Daivari defeated Griff Garrison in 7-16 by submission. The Fixer Arya Daivari having a better rating, 42. Griff Garrison, who's in FSW, 38. But Arya Daivari is getting better at his gimmick, and that's a very wonderful thing. 43 rating, not bad. 60. In a decent pre-show match, Ace Austin defeated Shane Thorne in 7-24 by pinfall off the fold. Ace Austin, who's getting better, by the way, 64. Shane Thorne, who's just a residential jobber guy at this point, 45. And Shane Thorne's in FSW, but Ace Austin got the win. He hasn't had a match since TakeOver, so I just want to give him a match on the pre-show. And a match that is not on the pre-show, but to kick off the show, and about that had great heat and good wrestling. Keith Lee defeated Leah Rush at 16-13 by pinfall at the Power Slam. Keith Lee makes defense number 8 of the NXT Television Championship. Keith Lee 80 and Leah Rush 54, and 75 is a great way to start the show. 88, that's a great rating. So Keith Lee picks up the win. Leah Rush is super duper mad that he didn't win the NXT Television Championship. His friend and Trey Miguel, who was at ringside, tells Leah Rush to calm down. Tyler Breeze is in the crowd, looking unimpressed, as he's just sitting there on his phone while Keith Lee was having this match. Keith Lee comes up to Tyler Breeze because he's kind of feeling a little slighted by this. So he comes up to Tyler Breeze, who's sitting in the crowd. Keith Lee speaks to Tyler Breeze and tells him to look him in the eye like a man. Tyler Breeze tells Keith it was a waste of his time being here. He tells Keith that he's good, but he's not Tyler Breeze good. He says, I'm going to get away from all the uggos and you. So Tyler Breeze leaves his seat and leaves the arena. So it looks like Tyler Breeze wasn't impressed with what he saw from Keith Lee. 88 is a great rating, and you're going to hear me complain about that. 50, an extremely short match. Pete Dunne defeated vsjeetrahman in 4:46 by pinfall at the bitter end. Pete Dunne 68, vsjeetrahman 42. They had no chemistry at all whatsoever, but just a match to get Pete Dunne some momentum. 76. So Pete Dunne says he loves brutality, and he can't wait for NXT TakeOver Supremacy. He says you can't have a fight without the bruiserweight. He'll wipe the floor with every single person, with every single soul on Thunder. Speaking of Thunder, Tommaso Ciampa comes out of nowhere and ambushes Pete Dunne. He gives him a fairy tale ending. AJ Styles comes out from the back while Ciampa leaves the ring. Ciampa tells Pete, you might like brutality, but I'm the living embodiment of it. So it looks like the first shot has been thrown on the men's side of this little brand war, between Thunder and Inferno. And it looks like, seems like it's Thunder that's always sending the first shot. But Tommaso Ciampa invaded Inferno, his former show, and attacked Pete Dunne here tonight. 57. In a decent match, Jordynne Grace defeated Shoko Nakajima in 10-12 by pinfall with a fall from Grace. Jordynne Grace 57, Shoko 47. 57 rated match. Pretty good. I have really high hopes for Jordynne Grace, and that's why she's in this storyline with Io Shirai, Jessica Havoc. And yes, she was in the title scene for a little bit there before she lost to Tegan Knox, but she hasn't had an official shot yet. But I'm also looking forward to pushing her, and she's getting better in the ring every single week, so that's good. And speaking of great, this rating is great. So Jordynne Grace wins as Jessica Havoc comes down the rampway, and Grace she keeps it a buck with Jessica Havoc. She tells Havoc that they have history, and she knows that Io forgave her, but that doesn't mean she can do the same. They might have a common enemy in Thunder, but they're not friends. Havoc wants to explain himself, but Grace says, I'm not going to give you the opportunity because a leopard never changes his spots. Io comes down the ring. She tells him to save the fighting for after TakeOver. So it looks like it's going to be some, everybody was weak on the commentary desk. But seems like it's some little infighting on the women's side for Inferno. And we'll see what happens there. But Jordan Grace and Jessica Havoc do have history, just like Io and Havoc had. But Io forgave her, but Jordan Grace says that she hasn't forgiven Jessica Havoc because she doesn't think she'll actually change. We'll see what happens, but they better get it in shape before TakeOver. 60. So Robert Stone is decked out in a white suit and a feathered cap. He sits down at the table of a fancy restaurant with Chelsea Green, Madison Rain, Tay Conti, and Paris Marie all sitting there. Robert asks if you like the suit. Madison tells him, yeah, it's a little bit much. Green says, we have bigger issues than Robbie's ugly suit. And you just see Robert Stone in the background. It's like, hey, I paid a lot of money for this. You don't have to say it was ugly. And Green says, since we formed, it appears that we've made enemies in the locker room. Madison tells Green that the other women can't handle their success that they've had thus far. Indy Hartwell, Kylie Ring, Layla Hirsch, you've been put on notice. We can't have you around snooping in our business when we're trying to capture gold and make this brand the biggest in all of the industry. Paris tells them that this whooping you're going to get next week is going to be downright ugly. It's going to be nothing beautiful about it. And Tay Conti finishes it off saying, it's simple. The beautiful people versus the Thunder Women's locker room next week. You're 4 against us. So it would be the beautiful people versus Indy Hartwell, Kylie Ring, Layla Hirsch. But we don't know who the 4th person will be for the Thunder Women. They're going to have to figure that out. Not for the Thunder Women. For the Inferno Women. My bad. But for the Inferno Women. I haven't slept since 2 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock right now. But for the Inferno Women. But yeah, I thought there was a funny not a little bit of funny segment with Robert Stone, but also a serious segment with the beautiful people. Robert Stone. Somebody was talking about how Robert Stone looks like a 1930s pimp. And immediately I thought about mafioso movie like The Departed or The Goodfellas. And that's where Robert Stone, the fancy restaurant came from. And Robert Stone's white outfit, I thought it was a little nice touch. And it brings out a little funny side in Robert Stone. But also, we're keeping it serious with the beautiful people. Great rating, by the way, 60. I'm not going to complain about that. Speaking of great, this match was really good. And the bout that had good heat and decent wrestling. SubCulture defeated Motor City Machine Guns in 11:21 with Mike Andrews pinned Chris Sabin with a top rope moonsault. After Chris Sabin got wiped out after a spot of partner communication. Mark Andrews 56, Morgan Webster 49, Chris Sabin 68, and Alex Shelley 74. So it looks like SubCulture got a big win in Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City Machine Guns are still having issues as is, and it looks like a miscommunication cost them the match. 65, not the best rating, but still good. Miscommunication from Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin cost them the match. Alex just shakes his head and tells them, I can't do this anymore. SubCulture picked up an ultra-important win against a great team in Motor City Machine Guns, but grizzled young veterans come out and tell SubCulture, one win doesn't prove anything. MCMG are great, but I mean, who hasn't beaten them at this point? Grizzled young veterans tell SubCulture to go back to the UK, where they're social outcasts. Jimmy tells Mark to go back to skating, which you're good at, not like professional wrestling. Mark Andrews takes exception to this, and he socks Zach Gibson in the mouth. He socks James Drake. And GYV says, how about this? Since you want to touch us, since you want to sock me in my jaw, if you beat a hand-picked team next week, you can have your match at TakeOver. You can join us in that tag team match at TakeOver. So it looks like we'll have Mark Andrews, Morgan Webster versus a hand-picked team of James Drake and Zach Gibson. Next week is looking ultra stacked. I can't wait, since I want to keep the pay-per-view as tight as possible. So it's only, 8 or 7 matches? Yeah, it's only 8 or 7 matches. So it's all brand versus brand. So all the inter-brand feuds are going to happen or are going to blow off at TakeOver. Not at TakeOver. Blow off on the go-home shows. But it looks I've done a lot with this segment. GYV are not impressed with SubCulture. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin. It's still some inner fighting between those two. What is going to happen with them? I know, but we'll see what happens. Can MCMG get over this little slump that they're in? And can SubCulture get some more momentum heading into TakeOver possibly? 45 and about that didn't have much in terrible wrestling. Kylie Ring, Layla Hirsch defeated the Ninja Warriors. When Kylie Ray submitted Kaden Carter with the crossface. Okay, that's new. Kylie Ray 47, Layla Hirsch 44, Casey 35, and Kaden 34, so I'm giving Kylie Ring and Layla Hirsch some much needed momentum heading into their 4v4 next week against the beautiful people. 83, I like your stat a lot. So Rhea says, Rigo allowed her to be on Team Inferno. And Rhea says, Rigo allowed her to be on Team Inferno. She says that she knows that she doesn't play well with others, but she's not dumb enough to realize what's at stake. She says she wants to go, and the best way to do that is to beat Team Thunder and make Rigo realize that she's the best woman in the locker room. The Maverick Michelle Thomas comes out. Michelle says she respects Rhea for who she is, a person who went against a particular look this industry wants for women. Heck, I stopped caring about what they think. I stopped caring about what those in the back think. I'm tired of them trying to fake this persona of Santana and Garrett on me. Even though that's my name, they didn't allow me to be my real persona. I'm a loner just like you. I walk my own path. I blaze my own trail. Michelle says that one day, she says that one day they'll meet face to face in the ring on the bigger stage. Rhea nods and says she looks forward to it. So we get to see Rhea's motives right here. Also, we get to put Michelle Thomas in the bigger spotlight and have her hang around some of the more premier women in the division while I'm trying to get Michelle Thomas over. And ratings like this is going to be good. In a decent match, Jake Something defeated the Brian Kendrick in 7-19 by pinfall. Jake Something 62, Brian Kendrick 52, 63 rating. Pretty good. 82 rating, even better. After Jake's dominant win against Brian Kendrick, Ace gives him a pen to sign the contract. Jake Something is just having a bad attitude right now, so he snatches the pen from Ace Austin and signs the contract. And Jake tells Yori to come out here, and Yori does exactly what Jake says. He comes out, and Jake tells Yori, everyone thinks that I'm just a mute monster or Ace's lackey. That's far from the truth. I'm a grown man who loves to make money and breaking bones while doing it. Jake tells Joy, you don't have to be afraid of me, because this isn't about fear. It's about taking that title from your shoulders, that championship from around your waist. After next week, your little feel-good story comes to an end, because that North American Championship is coming home to Jake Something. Jake pushes the contract to Yori and leaves. So you get to hear what Jake Something has to say. Normally Ace does the talking for him and Jake, but Jake says, hey, I got it this time. And it's a little change of pace because Jake doesn't speak that often. And when he does, I wanted to push to the audience that it's important. And just to signify how important this matchup is for next week. 54. Bivens Enterprises is getting a little better, especially with the ratings. So Malcolm Bivens is in his office with Everrise standing right next to him. Everrise are decked out in suits with shades on. He tells the cameraman that's all going according to plan. Bivens Enterprises is more relevant now more than ever. Even though Chase and Matt lost, they were in the main event. They almost beat two generational talents in Adam Cole and AJ Styles. They gave them all their money. They gave them a hard fight. He says now they got the audience's attention. It's time to show them that Bivens Enterprises breeds successful wrestlers. The fixer Ari Daivari, who had a win on the pre-show, walks in. Malcolm hands him a wad of cash, of rolled up hundreds, and Aria leaves. Malcolm says, a little insurance policy. Brian Pillman walks in and tells him it's time. So a little promo to hype up Bivens Enterprise. I don't always do this often, but I like when AEW does that type of thing where even though the group might not be on TV in physical form, there's always a backstage segment to put that group over, to explain their intentions, and to push storylines. I always like that. I like that. And I'm kind of taking inspiration from them with this segment. 27, not the best, but an extremely short match. Brian Pillman Jr. defeated Tony Nese by pinfall of the Tornado DDT. It had no chemistry. This should have probably been on a pre-show if I'm being honest. But I wanted to give Brian Pillman Jr. a win on TV instead of the pre-show. It looks like it bit me in the you-know-what, but 36 from Brian Pillman, 50 from Tony Nese. Just hopefully it doesn't kill the show, and hopefully it just builds up Brian Pillman Jr. That was the point of this match. 82. So Chad Gable comes up to Yori Katamatsu, and Chad says for months he's heard about how great Yori Katamatsu is. how fearless he is, how proven he is in this industry. Chad says he came here to see that fire. I came from Thunder to Inferno just to see if all what they're saying is true. Chad says Jake is a bad SOB, but you can even be better. You might not have the size he has, but you most definitely have more heart. Chad says he needs to see that fire that Yoi had when he called himself the best wrestler in the world. Chad says he'll be there next week to scout his future opponent, either Jake or you, but I'm also here to encourage you. So, a little different change of pace with Chad Gable, Yuri Katsumatsu. They haven't been disrespectful to each other in any way, shape, or form. They just want to see who the best wrestler in the world is. There are similar in very many aspects with them both being tag wrestlers and being tag wrestlers at one point and now being world champions for their respective brands. And Chad Gable just came to Inferno just to also to encourage Yuri Katsumatsu, but to see if what they're saying is true. And yeah, just respect between both men. 70 and above that had great heat and good wrestling. Rosemary defeated Rhea in 15:05 by pinfall at the Olympic Slam. Yup, this probably could have been the main event, but 71 from Rosemary, Rhea 62. 91. I like it a lot. So Alicia Flash stands on the side of Rosemary, and Rosemary tells Mayu that soon enough she'll have a new baby to play with, the NXT Women's Championship. Rosemary says she knows how violent and feisty Mayu can get. She knows the history she and Alyssa share. The thing is, she's dealing with her now. Rosemary smiles and says she can't wait to dive in that deep psyche of Mayu, because Mayu has tapped into that darkness before. She's going to need it when she faces her. Brian Awatani comes out and tells Rosemary, all the mind games you did with Io, you did with Kimiko, you did with everyone else he fought before you, it isn't going to work. But interesting enough, Kimiko as a horror comes out and tells Mayu that she's coming, and she's looking at you, Mayu. Kimiko tells everyone that she's coming, and she wants blood. So Kimiko, being the harbinger, she was on Inferno. No, she was on Thunder last week, telling Kimiko that she's coming, and on Explosion she written she's coming in blood. Who is she? Interesting enough, she looked at Mayu and said, she's looking at you, Mayu. Why is she looking at Mayu and Io? There's a connection between them, but I don't know if you're catching on to it. But it looks like Kimiko knows the connection. But we'll see what that connection is. But interesting, Mayu and Rosemary having their little back and forth. Alyssa Flash is in the mix. But Kimiko after her making the segment more interesting, saying that she's coming. And who is she? 71. Hiromu Takahashi has an in-ring debut next week. So next week is looking stacked. We have Jake versus Yoi. Hiromu Takahashi's in-ring debut. The Beautiful People versus the Women's Locker Room of Inferno. SubCulture versus the handpicked team of GYV. So yes, a lot of good things happening. Can't wait to pre-book that show and get it rolling. The go-home shows for both Inferno and Thunder next week is looking pretty good. This was 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes. So yeah, let's get into the main event. Not yet. But Kushida is seen train with Bo backstage. Kushida teaches Bo how to defend himself against a submission. So last week he taught him how to submit your opponent and attack a certain body part. And now he's teaching him how to avoid a submission. He teaches him how to evade being trapped in a submission. Kushida tries the hoverboard lock on Bo, but Bo escapes. Kushida tells Bo a good job. They leave and head out to make their entrance. Brody King makes his entrance with God's Hate. The crowd are loving it as people nod their heads to the music as Brody King singing it. So, even though I didn't have a segment with William Regal saying this, it would be Kushida versus Brody King in our main event. Winner gets the last and final spot in the Inferno men's team. So it's going to be Kushida versus Brody King, a new, fresh match. I don't know how it's going to be. Kushida's been pretty good. Brody King can deliver good ratings. I just hope they have good chemistry. But also, this is the segment. I watch boxing a lot, and especially with top-ranked boxing, you know how before they have the match, even before they even after they have the little promo videos, you have those boxers backstage, and you just get to see them in their natural environment in the locker room, just seeing the different things that they're doing. And this is what I want that segment to be: just wrestlers on the split screen, them training, them getting ready for the big fight, and this just to hype up the match even more, to show the level of importance for this matchup. And our main event gets a 61. They're not the best, but in above that had great heat and decent wrestling. Brody King defeated Kushida in 14:57 by pinfall the Gonzo Bomb. Kushida 66, Brody King 63. You had to keep Kushida strong because I didn't want to have to job out Kushida to Brody King. It's not because Kushida still has name value, but I wanted to put Brody King over cleanly, and that's what happened. And beating Kushida is no small feat. Kushida is a very accomplished star, not only in NXT, but in New Japan. And if he's not a legend already, he's becoming one. So, yeah, Brody King picks up an ultra important win, and he gets the final spot in the men's team. So Brody King beats Kushida clean in the ring. Brody King and Kushida shake hands in a sign of respect. King leaves the ring, and Boa tells Kushida everything will be okay. But out of nowhere, Marcel Bartel appears and gives Kushida an uppercut. Alexander Wolf takes out Boa and throws him out of the ring. Ilya laughs, seeing all this happening. He says, "We want to prove that we're not only the best European wrestlers on God's green earth, but we want to show that we're the best group in this company." See, there's a little makeshift wannabe Bullet Club saying they're the main event group of all of NXT. So boys, get ready, because at TakeOver, we'll be answering the call. So it looks like it's going to be Unbesiegbar versus Balor Club. That's going to be very, very interesting. But the thing with Unbesiegbar is 4 people in Balor Club, 3 people in Unbesiegbar right now. Who will be the 4th member? We haven't seen Tyler Bate. And remember, last week, Killian Dane attacked Kendrick and Nese with Unbesiegbar in the ring. So he might want to have a shot in that group. But interesting enough, the card is getting more stacked at TakeOver. We're having the men's match. We're having Mayu versus Bianca. Maybe at this point, maybe Jake and Chad. Maybe Chad versus Chad versus Jake. Or maybe Johnny versus Jake, or Johnny versus Joy, since Chad and Johnny are going to be facing next week as well. But stacked card at TakeOver. We didn't see Adam Cole. We didn't see Khabib. You don't need to have them on the show every week. But I thought this was a good and decent show. We progressed some storylines. We have set up stuff for next week. We set up stuff for the card. And not everything's going to be a slam dunk. But I thought this was a good and decent show that advanced everything that it needed to. And filled out the card, provided some good character depth. And that's all you can ask for an episode. And we get a 75. So yeah, not the best show. Maybe I could have put Adam Cole on there. The main event wasn't the best. If we put Rosemary and Rhea, we probably would have gotten a 78. But I'm not going to complain. 75 still decent. So tell me what you thought down below, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.